Support for this podcast comes from Progressive, America's #1 boat insurer. We've all made mistakes on the water, but there's one mistake you shouldn't make: being uninsured. With Progressive Boat Insurance, you can choose coverage for most mistakes you or other boaters could make, helping you float carefree all season long. Quote today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. #1 rating based on boat market share data from ratefilings.com.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Attack the Baseline, a WNBA podcast where every episode we attack our baseline knowledge of the WNBA, and we are back to talk about a very good finals series between the Minnesota Lynx and the New York Liberty, which resulted in the crowning of a brand new WNBA finals winner in New York. Sorry, we've been away for so long. This has been our longest layoff since doing a podcast, since we started the show, and it feels it. But before we get into all of that, we're your hosts, John and Kristen Barber, and this is our little WNBA Paradise podcast where we get to talk about everything we love about the WNBA. If you're new here, welcome. Happy to have you. If this is your first episode, I'm glad you're joining now because the season, the 2024 WNBA season, is in the books. But before we get into the details of the series, Kristen, how are we doing today? Finally back behind the microphone. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I'm nervous. It feels unnatural now. I have to get back into it.
It's been like 15 days since we recorded.
It feels like a lifetime.
It feels like a lifetime.
A lot has happened. This whole series. We haven't talked about this series at all.
No.
It went to 5 games, which was very exciting. The first time in 6 years that the finals have gone 5 games.
Many are saying the best finals in the history of the league. I think that's the Attack the Baseline bump, but many are saying that.
I don't know if this game was the best game.
I mean, surely not.
But the whole series, I guess, was exciting.
Great series.
We haven't really talked about where we went.
No, we mentioned we were on a trip.
You were just cryptic saying we were
going on a trip. Well, I learned that you're not supposed to say when you leave town.
You're not supposed to say where you're going.
You're not supposed to say where you're going.
Okay.
But we're back from where we're going, so we can talk about where we went if you'd like to.
So we went to Madrid, Porto, and Lisbon. A little 10-day vacation.
Iberian Peninsula vacation.
Yes. It was lovely. Had a great time.
Yeah, my first time in Europe. Big life change, big revelations, learning what it's like to be on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. Very cool over there. Like Kristen said, had a great time. A lot of good food, a lot of good drinks, a lot of good activities. Really cool museums, old buildings. So fun.
That sums it up.
That pretty much sums it up. But people today were like, "Whoa, how was your trip? What was the best thing about your trip?" And I was like, there's so many things that were so good, I can't decide.
Yeah, there were so many things you did, so it's hard.
And the whole time we were trying to follow a WNBA finals, which the games were on at 1 a.m.
The WNBA finals, the Big Brother finals.
Okay, we're going to talk about reality TV too.
I'm just saying, the stuff we were trying to watch, Dancing with the Stars, a lot was happening.
True.
That we had to be caught up on.
And we're still not caught up on everything.
No.
But it's okay. We are caught up on the WNBA finals. which, fortunately, like you said, went to 5 games. So we were actually able to be home for games 4 and games 5, which was nice. I respect Minnesota and New York for forcing game 5, especially. But it was we've said it already. It was an amazing series. Like, I usually do not watch NBA games after the Sixers are eliminated. Sorry. My heart hurts too bad to watch more basketball. But as you've learned from following our show, we do not have an affiliation to a team. So we can go in and watch these games as mercenaries and root for Minnesota because we won a game 5. And then we get to game 5 and it's like, who do we got? I had New York. Kristen had Minnesota.
True.
And, it was a 5-point game. So it was down to the wire in every sense of the series. There was a 2-point win by Minnesota, a 3-point win by New York, another 2-point win by Minnesota, a 14-point win by New York.
Yeah.
And then a 5-point win by New York. But it was just, I was so impressed because, a lot of people are talking about the product, the WNBA product, and there was a lot of talk about, the Liberty Minnesota game 5 is on when the Mets are in the NLCS game 6 and when the Jets are on Sunday Night Football. First off, the Jets, you shouldn't be watching the Jets. Sorry. They're terrible. They're just pathetic. You should be if you have watched the W the whole season, then I have to think that there were a ton of eyes on this game.
Oh, yeah.
There was a conversation in a chat that we're in about, is this the highest profile game in WNBA history? Because now you have all these new eyes. And you said that you think it's probably when Caitlin Clark first played.
Caitlin was bringing the eyes. As much as I think people stuck around to watch the finals, that's exciting. Everyone likes to watch that. I think viewership did drop off when Caitlin was eliminated.
Drop off, but not in a sheer way.
Not that much, but
it was still the most viewership they'd ever had.
Of course.
So it was the viewership was already crazy high, and then it dropped, but it still dropped to a point where it was still breaking records.
Of course.
I haven't seen the numbers on this game, but I assume it was, at least 1.1 million was what they got in game 1. I assume it was closer to 2 million viewers. If you know that, let us know. Send us an email. attackthebaseline@gmail.com.
Okay, something somebody could quickly look up. Email that to us.
Yeah, email it to us. We don't have email. We don't have internet. We do have email.
What?
We have an email, attackthebaseline@gmail.com, but we do not have internet. So I have to go.
Why are you saying we don't have internet?
How do we post this podcast? I don't know. I'm just feeling it. I'm excited to be behind the mic again. Kristen wanted an opening to this podcast. I'm just airing it out. She was like, "What do we do?" And I'm like, "Well, we haven't been on the pod for a while, so why don't we just warm it up and talk?" We talked about our trip.
Barely.
Well, let's one more thing about the trip. What was the best thing you ate on the trip?
Oh my god. The best thing I ate on the trip.
And then we'll get into the basketball.
Maybe there was this churro place in Madrid that we went to for breakfast, and you dunk the churros in hot chocolate.
And the chocolate?
That was the best thing.
Yes, that's quite good. We had hot chocolate at a different place. A chocolate place that when we had brunch that one day in Porto, the first day in Porto. And the hot chocolate there was crazy good. Kristen's looking at me like she completely doesn't remember.
I don't remember that
but
at all.
It was delicious. No, I actually think had beef cheek for the first time. And it was crazy good.
Yeah, true. I forgot about that.
I remembered it. We went on a food tour in Madrid. Highly recommend going on a food tour in Madrid. But insanely good beef if you're into that.
Yeah, the ham.
And and there was so much ham.
The ham
Extreme
was so
ham.
good. Yeah. Okay.
It was a great trip. It was a great trip. Highly recommend. Everybody's saying, go to Lisbon. Now we can say that.
Yeah, we will say go.
Go. Get out there. But when you're back, more WNBA basketball to talk about.
Chaotic. Let's talk about the series.
Let's talk about the series.
We can, since we haven't been here, and my memory is not good from watching the games at a faster speed while we're on vacation.
We didn't watch them at a faster speed. We just watched them at a weird times.
You can go through. Let's summarize how we got here.
Sure.
And then talk about this game.
Well, game 1, Minnesota wins 95-93.
In New York.
In New York. An incredibly exciting game. I have a tough time figuring out which game I think is the best game of the series because you have a Sabrina game winner. You have this game where Fee hits a game winner and Stewie misses some free throws to send the game into overtime. You have the Courtney Williams 4-point play that like made it possible. This game was really, really good and high scoring, which is exciting. We love points. The arc of this game was like New York came out of the gate really hot, and it really took everything that Minnesota had to fight back. And, you know, we've talked about this on the pod in the past, but in that Commissioner Cup final where Minnesota beats New York, Jonquel Jones only had 3 points on 3 shots, did not make a basket in that game. And one of the narratives that Lobo and Ruocco talked about a lot during the series was how important it was for the New York Liberty to get Jonquel going. You know, everybody talks about Stewie and everybody talks about Sabrina.
Well, not here.
Not here.
We're
and
not
who
talking about
ends up
them.
winning the MVP of the series? Jonquel Jones, which is maybe my favorite thing about the entire series, but
Honestly,
we'll talk more about that.
Hallelujah. I would have been honestly pissed off if she didn't win it.
We'll talk more about that later, but New York came out and did a really good job of getting JJ going early. It's exactly the blueprint. And this is how New York come out and crush Minnesota in the game after the Commissioner Cup. Same blueprint. They're like just cook, like, you know, JJ had over 20 points. And in this game, JJ had over 20 points. And they really basically had won it until Minnesota clawed all the way back. Now, this was like a 3-headed monster. Kayla, Courtney, and Fee, they all played really well. They were making their shots. Courtney Williams' jumper was pure. Kayla McBride, I think she was like a pretty undercredited part of this series, and we'll need to talk about that as we go through this. But ultimately, you know, the game culminates in the Liberty are up 83-80, and Sabrina fouls Courtney Williams on 3. The 3 goes in. She hits the free throw, and it looks like Minnesota is about to steal this game that they have been behind for most of it. Stewie gets up there, gets fouled, draws the foul. Good at drawing fouls. You know, she's a professional. Misses the first one, makes the second one. And we go to OT. And it's like, really? Wow. And it's a hard-fought OT. Decent scoring on both sides. But it ultimately ends up in this beautiful, like, one-footed step back, 12-foot jumper by Fee to put the game away at 95-93, seals it, and Minnesota shocks New York at home. That's sort of sends New York reeling. They're nervous going into game 2, but they know they're at home. And what do? They come out and don't have as much to say about game 2 because this is the game that New York pretty handily wins. They do the same thing. They come out really hot.
Well, and it's the only game that either team handily won.
Right, because they won by 14. This was an 80-66 win by New York. Pretty much the snooziest game of the series, which was never really in doubt. And a game, interestingly, where Sabrina only shoots 9 shots. She only had 9 attempts. She was 5 for 9. It was probably her best game, even
percentage-wise.
Certainly percentage-wise, but like New York just had everything going and Minnesota did not.
Yeah.
So it was easy and Sabrina didn't have to force it. Because in other games, mostly the entire series, Sabrina was forcing. I think it was game 3, which we'll talk about now, which was another New York win, which featured the Sabrina game winner.
That was the biggest game to me. This is the most important game.
Certainly the swing game. And this is, of course, the one that we could not watch in real time just because of where everything was going on. We were traveling and between cities, and it was a really tough time. But this is, pretty iconic moment for Sabrina, who is this, she gets credited as being a bucket getter, and she's had games where she's shot like crazy, but for most of the series, she would shoot a lot of shots and not a lot of shots would go in.
Awful.
Game 5, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Disgusting.
Really, really rough. Really, really rough. Not going to say disgusting.
It was.
Because she at least passed the ball pretty well in that game.
Yeah.
But
she could have taken more shots. Okay, continue.
The difference about this game, game 3, is that Minnesota comes out really hot. Gets out to a really good start. Does the opposite of what they had been doing in the first 2 games. And it was like, oh, okay, Minnesota at home, they've got their right hook. They're bringing it. They're going to try to, take control of the series here after the split and take it back so that they can be up 2-1. But instead, you get, a huge Stewie game, 30-11, and you got Sabrina hitting this shot, and down to the wire as it was, it started this narrative, which was a part of the series, especially the last 3 games, about the way that the refs were reffing. And as Sixers fans, we often talk about the referees.
Every fandom
fandom talks about the refs in every single game. But as a result of this game, you have Coach Reeve in the post-game presser saying, Stewie gets a different whistle than all of my players. And, I take that as certain players in certain leagues, especially basketball, the highest profile players have a special whistle. And it's just because of who they are.
And you agree that does happen.
I agree that it happens.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree that Stewie almost definitely gets a better whistle than any player in this entire series. Fee gets a good whistle, though. And Cheryl said, she gets such a better whistle than Nafisa. I think, in different words. Fee has been amazing this entire playoffs. Was amazing.
Yeah.
And 8 from the line. Was not shy drawing fouls. It's tough because I don't know. I didn't go back and see every single whistle in this game.
No.
But it became an important factor, especially in game 5, because there were a ton of whistles down the stretch. But let's just to say that starts the narrative. But looking at game 4, which is a must-win for Minnesota, in Minnesota, they get out of it. They win 82-80, and I think this was probably...
They were close to not winning.
Correct. I think this was the best game of the series, because if you look at the box, if you follow the track of the game, it was always tight after every quarter.
Right.
It wasn't like one team got out to a big spread and then the other team had to chase back. It was, a punch from Minnesota, a punch from New York, a punch from Minnesota.
Yeah.
And it was truly down to the wire.
Yeah, and it would have gone to overtime if Sabrina doesn't foul with 2 seconds left.
Bingo.
And gives them the lead.
Bingo. So if you trace that, Sabrina fouls Courtney Williams.
Why?
On a 3 attempt when they're up 3, which gives them the ability to force overtime. Of course, Stewie could have made the free throw. Whatever. And then here, Sabrina also fouls when on a tie game with 2 seconds to go, lets Bridget Carlton go to the line, knock down 2, give Minnesota the lead, ultimately ending in a Minnesota win. And then we get into game 5, which, I didn't really talk about game 4, but just, I really loved the way that it was so close in such an important game, because game 5 is like the prototypical, like, all defense, no buckets. It takes a exciting effort from Niara Sabally coming out of nowhere to score 13 points off of the bench for New York, a player that had not played a lot of minutes in the series but figured it out, thanks to some good passing from Sabrina to get her some easy looks. But ultimately, like, she ends up being the reason that New York can win this game. It's crazy to say. Niara.
Yeah.
Like, I know Jonquel is the MVP of the series, and they do not win game 5 if Jonquel doesn't have another good game, because she was also very good and the most efficient outside of Niara, because Sabrina was 1 for 19. A crazy stat line. Did not make her first basket until, was it the end of the third, or was it the fourth quarter?
3 minutes left in the game.
Crazy. 3 minutes
Insane.
left. Crazy. And Stewie wasn't very good either.
Stewie was fine.
She was, like, fine.
I mean, she also took a very long time to get her first points. But once she did, she was okay. And better than Sabrina.
Right. But, at the end of the day, the sad reality was how good Courtney Williams' jumper had been the entire series, outside of one of the games where she was 4 for 14. She ends the night 2 for 14.
Yeah, she only had 4 points.
And my heart, who over this series, like, I think by the end of the series, I was ready to declare that Courtney Williams is my favorite player in the entire league. Period.
Yeah.
And it hurt me to see her miss these shots.
Yeah.
In this game, because I know how much she wanted them to go down, obviously. And she was playing so hard.
She kept trying.
I do think that. And a lot of shots in this last game came up short. I think everybody was gassed.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody was absolutely giving every single thing that they had.
Which you should.
Yeah. And it was just, like, such a bummer.
Yeah.
To see this, like, fall off after how money this shot's been the entire playoffs. She's been amazing.
Well, it wasn't just her.
No.
It was Bridget Carlton only had 3 points. She was 1 for 6.
Right, Bridget Carlton, an important reason that they won game 4, because she was able to knock down shots.
Yes. Alana Smith was, like,
dying on the court.
So hurt.
So hurt.
So it just
Which was sad too.
Yeah, that was so sad. But she fought. I mean,
huge credit. Alana Smith also flew
incredible.
Up my rankings.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, favorite players, and she showed so much. It's, like, cheesy to say, but she showed so much heart.
She did. I mean, I thought she wasn't coming back after she's, like, literally crying on the court in pain when she fell from being fouled by Jonquel. But she comes back, and that I was blown away.
Yeah, and she had the toughest assignment.
Yes.
Try guarding Stewie, try guarding Jonquel. Like, you are responsible. You are our center. You have to control the paint.
Well, this is why I think they should have played Maisha. John disagrees.
Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify is there to help you grow. Shopify helps you sell everywhere, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, and sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. What I love about Shopify is how no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify gives you everything you need to take control and take your business business to the next level. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., and Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It took a lifetime to find the person you want to marry. Finding the perfect engagement ring is a lot easier. At BlueNile.com, you can find or design the ring you've always dreamed of with help from Blue Nile's jewelry experts who are on hand 24/7 to answer questions, and the ease and convenience of shopping online. For a limited time, get $50 off your purchase of $500 or more with code POD at BlueNile.com. That's $50 off with code POD at BlueNile.com.
I disagree, and I liked Myisha Hines-Allen was very effective for Minnesota in the first two series when they played Connecticut and when they played the Mercury. I mean, I guess less so. She was perfect for that Connecticut series because, we know Connecticut is not the same profile, does not have the same profile of shooters that New York has. I mean, when you have Sabrina who can pull up from 30 feet whenever she wants, of course, to varying results. When you have Leonie Fibish, who is a tall, combo guard forward type who can knock down shots from all over the floor, was very good. I gotta give her flowers because she's a rookie.
Absolutely.
I think the problem was that Coach Reeve couldn't really trust Myisha to knock down an open shot.
She shouldn't need. That's not what she does.
But you need to have the threat because it pulls the defense of the other team in a way that gets other players open. When you have Myisha Hines-Allen just sitting in the corner, then New York can just be like, I don't need to guard her because I know the ball's never going to come to her. And I know that she's not going to shoot it if the ball does come to her.
Why can't she drive for a layup?
She can, but she's slower. So you can just swing two defenders.
But she's so much bigger.
She's so much bigger, but New York is bigger. New York is big.
So you need somebody big to help.
Well,
you had Nafisa, who is playing incredible defense. Incredible.
Of course.
Alana Smith, who's literally has a broken back. And everybody else was trying, but they're way smaller. They're way too small.
They were.
And I understand that you're saying she's not a shooting threat. New York was not a shooting threat in this game.
Disagree.
In the game 5, they weren't.
But they would have had another open look.
It doesn't matter.
It absolutely matters.
They had open looks. When New York plays Niara Sabally, who they have not played much in the whole year, she averaged
4 points.
10 minutes in the postseason.
Right.
13 minutes in the regular season. She played 17 minutes in this game. They obviously were trying something different because what they were doing wasn't working. And insane props to Sandy Brondello.
Agreed.
To try that because that was ballsy to play Niara, who you barely play. But it was working.
It was and when it works, then it's yeah.
So why can't Cheryl Reeve even try? Niara Sabally is a big player. Why can't Cheryl Reeve even try to put in Myisha when she sees that Niara Sabally is going off and they're having a hard time guarding her? Why can't they put in Maisha Hines-Allen to try to guard Niara. She should have done that.
To be fair, Niara Sabli scored 11 points in 8 minutes.
That's crazy.
It was probably, part of it was probably that it was so quick in such a short period of time that, like, it was already done. The damage was already done.
You have to
She
have...
didn't keep scoring.
She scored 17 points. 13. Fine.
So she scored one more basket after that 8 minutes run where she had 11.
Okay. You have to have a quick whistle.
A quick hook.
You have to. In an elimination game, you have to.
But you also need to play your best players.
You have to react to what they're doing and adjust.
All I'm saying is, in Game 4, they did not play Maisha Hines-Allen. Because Dorka Juhas came in and gave Coach Reeve really good minutes.
Yeah, she's tall. I get it.
So that was...
But she's not a shooting threat.
She's not.
Okay.
But she's a little faster. So
just leave Maisha down there on the court like, Joelle sometimes does. Just stay down there.
No, they were trying to push pace.
Yeah,
And it worked.
It
sometimes.
wasn't working because they couldn't make a basket.
Well, look.
They needed to slow down. They needed to slow down. They were going too fast. They were out of control. They needed to slow down.
Well, I think it was pretty evident to me when Maisha was a minus 19 in Game 3 that when you look at the effect of where that, like, what happened there when everybody else was, like, the next highest or worst minus was, I think, Cecilia Zandalicini was like a minus 8, but all of your starters and, Natisha Heineman were positive. Like, you are in a Game 5 final. Like, Courtney Vandersloot barely played. You shrink that rotation as small as you can go, as small as you're willing to go.
Okay.
You do not adjust and play a player that you didn't play.
They literally
at
did that.
all in player 4.
They literally did that.
Who?
Niara Sabli.
Niara Sabli played in every game. Maisha Hines-Allen did not play in Game 4, so she was not part of the game plan. Cheryl Reeve said, you are done.
Okay.
I'm not going to play you.
I think that's what made them lose.
It could be. We don't know because she didn't get to play.
Yeah.
You can't say that Maisha came in and then Niara Sabli went off. Mm-hmm. We can look at it and say, in retrospect, would it have been smart to try that as soon as Niara comes in? Maybe. But she trusts Alana Smith so much.
I get it.
Even if she's hurt.
And in a normal case, I would trust Alana Smith.
But she was hurt.
She was so hurt. And she was still doing great, but, it just wasn't as good as she could have done.
Agreed. This was a game that, I can't really fault too much of the game plan, ultimately, how it came out, because it was really it was basically a difference of a basket. Mm-hmm. If Courtney Williams makes 2 jumpers,
any of them,
then
if Bridget Carlton made a 3-pointer, if any of them, the 3-point, it was insane how bad the 3-point shooting was
on both sides.
Mm-hmm. New York was 2 for 17, I think, something like that. I should check.
Minnesota was 3 for 20? Okay. New York was 2 for 23. And Minnesota was 3 for 19 from 3.
Awful.
5 made threes in the entire series, or in the entire game.
When these are the 2 best 3-point shooting teams. Yep. I mean, it was because of the defense. The defense was great.
Yeah, they both played really good defense,
yeah,
and that's part of it.
Yeah.
But let's do you want to talk a little bit about the controversy at the end?
Yeah, of course.
There was certainly controversy.
Certainly.
There were certainly some miscalls and some different calls.
Certainly.
And we talked about the narrative that Coach Reeve brought up that was, potentially correct one way or another about the whistle that Stewie gets. But there was a pretty blatant mistravel where Stewie was able to score in the end part of this game in the clutch time.
And then it was an and one, wasn't it?
I don't recall. I remember the blatant travel. But like unfortunately,
she traveled and then was fouled by Alana Smith, which many people are saying was not a foul.
Many are saying,
including...
Oh, that was the phantom foul with like 5 seconds to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, she didn't make that basket, but she went to the line, which ultimately gave them the lead in that spot.
Yes.
Have
you seen like NBA players talking about this? Mm-hmm. Damian Lillard, LeBron, both saying that should not have been called a foul.
It wasn't a foul. Just let him play.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks. It sucks. You don't want the last game of the finals to come down to a blown whistle. No. You want it to be a make or miss.
It just makes me upset. Like, if you're gonna call that a foul, call it the whole game. Mm-hmm. Don't just be blowing your whistle in the last minute.
Sure.
And I feel like that's what happens all the time.
Well, at the end of the day, Minnesota committed 21 fouls. Mm-hmm. And the Liberty committed 17 fouls.
Okay, well, you said...
So 38 fouls in the entire game.
After game 3, Cheryl Reeve complained about the refs, that Stewie gets a whistle. Mm-hmm. After game 4, I guess game 4 was better in the eyes of Cheryl Reeve, because after game 4, Sandy Brondello said, make the whistles fair. Mm-hmm. It's not fair. Now she's complaining.
Well, in game 4... New York committed 14 fouls, and Minnesota only committed 9 fouls. Mm. So it's the last game where there's the most whistles blown.
Yeah.
38 fouls as opposed to 23 in game 4. In game 3, where we talk about the whistle narrative, Minnesota commits 18 fouls. New York commits 13 fouls. So there's your difference.
Like, maybe it's better, just don't even bring it up, because now they're gonna be calling the whistle on everything, because you're just complaining every game that we're not calling the whistle.
Referees?
I don't know.
Referees, swallow your whistles.
The free throws are what influence this game the most. The free throws were the most important thing. New York had 21 points.
Off of free throws.
Off of 25 free throws. 25. Mm-hmm. That's like a third of their points.
Sure.
Were from free throws.
Sure.
Quite Minnesota a third. Had 7 points from 8 free throws.
Didn't get to the line.
That's crazy.
I mean, yeah, that is definitely a difference.
A huge difference.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that Minnesota was fouling that much more.
It's tough to say, because if it's a foul on a shot attempt, then that's how you get, like, I guess nobody on Minnesota was really in the paint trying to draw fouls. Like,
yes, they were.
Unfortunately, Courtney was putting up jumpers that were clanking.
Nafisa was like triple teamed the whole game.
Well, yeah, I'm sure if I had to guess, Nafisa probably had, actually, I think it was Kayla had the lion's share of those 7 free throw attempts. But again, that's only 7 free throw attempts.
Yeah.
Kayla had 6, and Alana Smith had 2. Nafisa did not have free throws.
That's ridiculous.
It's pretty crazy.
She's like one of the best free throw, getters.
Foul drawers.
Yeah.
And she had
of the
6.
Whole week.
She shot 6 in game 3, or in game 4. She shot, I'm curious now, you're making me wonder. She shot 4 in game 3. In game 2, she shot 2 free throws. And in game 1, she shot only 2. So she didn't have the same foul whistle that she's had in the previous series. So maybe looking into the box a little deeper.
Yeah. Okay.
There might be a point.
With that being said,
I
do agree they need to figure out some reffing situations. I don't think every single game of this series was close, except for the one by New York.
Correct.
any of these games could have easily gone the opposite way. So
there's so many, like, within the last 10 seconds of every game, there's a turning point.
yeah.
Like, it's that simple.
Right.
All these games were clutch time games except game 2.
If Minnesota wanted to secure it, they could have done that better.
Sure.
They could have had more points. They had 2 points in overtime in the game 5.
Yeah.
Well, you have to be better than that.
Yeah.
I think Minnesota dropped the ball in this game. But New York, specifically Sabrina, dropped the ball in 2 of the other games.
Yep. And
So-
almost dropped it in this game.
Very much almost. She had one good 3-point shot.
Correct.
I guess that's all they needed.
Correct.
So I'm not like, I will give New York their congratulations.
Yes.
It was
It was certainly deserved.
It was a very hard fought series.
Yep.
It was deserved. The whole year they've been
The number one team.
one.
Correct.
Everyone knew, they have a great chance of winning, and they pulled it out at the end. Thanks to Jonquel, Leonie Fibish, and Niara Sabali.
Yeah, no credit to Stewie. No
none.
credit to Sabrina.
None, honestly, from me.
Credit in the previous games.
Sure.
I'll give them. But yes, in the final, the biggest part was Jonquel
Yeah.
being Jonquel and Niara Sabali coming out of nowhere to save the game.
Yeah.
And, you might disagree with us on that topic. You may have a different perspective on how the series went. You may think that Minnesota was robbed. And I can understand that. But like Kristen said, I do believe that, New York came into this series, came into this playoffs with a ton of pressure. They made the finals last year, and they lost to the Aces, who, are obviously a super team. They get past the Aces. They go on. They play this Minnesota team that nobody predicted was going to be the second best team in the league. But sure enough, they proved that. And New York had their hands full. And New York took care of business because they had fully healthy bodies.
Yeah.
They had the right shots at the right time.
They had better bench players at this point.
Yep. They had, players that, we didn't even say, Benijah is the reason that they ran away in game 2. Benijah was incredible in that game.
Benijah was great.
Kayla Thornton was playing great defense. And that's a really active body that,
Both of them in game 5 were incredible on defense.
Yep.
Specifically on Nafisa.
And even Sloot. Sloot played well in limited run. And Sloot was, I don't need to be playing a ton.
Yeah, that's
Which
great.
is good on Sloot. But she made some clutch layups when she was able to sneak behind the defense because she is a shifty guard.
Yeah.
So they had 8 or 9 players that were high quality and difference makers.
Right. And they were able to depend on these other players who stepped up when their 2 bigs weren't able to.
Correct.
Whereas Minnesota,
It needed to be Courtney, Kayla, and Fee.
it needed to be. And Kayla and Fee had great games, game 5, but Courtney just, had an off day, and that was the difference.
And at the end of the day, New York finally gets their WNBA championship. One of the original 8 teams started in 97. It's very cool to even though all of our Philadelphia teams are vehement rivals of the New York teams, there is no Philadelphia team in the WNBA. So I feel like I can watch the Liberty and not really feel an ire when I watch them. I was happy for them. I was especially happy for Jonquel Jones, who deserved that MVP. Jonquel was when we started this project, one of my original, that's a player that is really fun to watch. I love to watch Jonquel Jones. And I'm very glad that it was her that, at the end of the day, got it. Because she's had an incredible journey. came over from the Bahamas. This is my Jonquel fact that I learned today. I like to thank Kev and Ty. Thank you for teaching me this fact. Diane Richardson is the head coach of the Temple women's basketball team. And she is the legal guardian of Jonquel Jones.
What?
When Jonquel Jones decided to come over from the Bahamas to the United States, Diane Richardson said, I will take her into my house.
Oh my god.
And I will be her legal guardian in the United States.
Wow.
And that is a crazy thing that I did not know.
Jonquel's from Philadelphia.
From here. From here.
Wow, I did not know that.
So cool thing about JJ. So when you look up Diane Richardson's kids, Jonquel, right there. Bang.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
listed. I was like, wow. I did not
I
know
mean,
this.
I don't know who Diane Richardson is, but that's cool.
I mean, I don't know her either. Because I'm not, familiar with very much college women's basketball. Temple. But now, like,
Okay, let's go.
let's go to some Temple
Maybe
games.
JJ will
Maybe
be
JJ
there.
will be there.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah, if I ever, feel a tinge of being annoyed that the Liberty won, I just can remember how much that I love Jonquel.
Correct. And many are saying that the Liberty are the best team in New York.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
best sports team in all of New York.
It's not the Mets.
Certainly not the Mets. It's never been the Mets. It's not the Jets.
Could be the Yankees. We'll see.
Now we're going to talk about World Series baseball? I don't think so.
Well, it's my internal dilemma. Because I'm from New York. All my family lives in New York. My family never really cared about basketball or football. But we were huge, Yankees fans and Rangers fans. I moved to Cincinnati, and, my identity was, I'm from New York. And we're better than Cincinnati teams. Then I come here to Philadelphia, and I cannot be a New York fan.
Correct. And she's smart for that.
So I'm just so torn about it.
You're allowed to root for the Yankees.
I am rooting for the Yankees. It's
course.
fine. Especially now the Phillies are not here. I don't care about that. I will unapologetically root for the Yankees.
I'm going to root for future Philadelphia Philly Juan Soto.
But it's just New York in general. I feel very connected to New York, but I feel like I'm not allowed to be.
You don't think I don't
No,
right
not
now?
you.
Okay, good.
The city in general.
Right.
And I appreciate that. I deserve to not. I shouldn't be because I'm
You're
here
from
now.
here. You're from here.
I don't know where I'm from. That's my dilemma.
Wow, this is getting so philosophical.
This is just what I think about.
So, it didn't fill you with joy that New York won a championship.
Half of me is filled with joy and half of me is filled with hate. So I don't know. It's hard.
The internal tug of war
very
inside
hard.
Kristen's heart.
Yeah.
That was a good little segue. There's not much else to say. Congratulations, New York. New York enters the betting markets as the favorite next year to repeat.
Well,
Plus 200.
breaking news. The WNBA Players Association has officially opted out of the CBA.
It's time.
So they will be now
Oh,
negotiating for a new one.
baby.
We'll see what this does in opening doors for free agents and how that changes teams next year. Don't tell me that the Liberty are already favored when we don't know who's even going to be on the team.
Woo! Well, we know who probably 6 of those players will be, but I just want to say, we have some. I have some final thoughts. I have some final thoughts, and I have some final questions.
Okay.
New York, do you foresee any major changes for this Liberty team?
Oh, well, who's our free agents? I don't remember.
Let's say they bring back whoever they want to bring back. Do you think they just go and run it back? Same team?
I mean, they should. I mean, I told you what I was feeling in the moment last night in You Need to Trade Sabrina.
She says that after they win. Or no,
Yeah.
right before they won. She's like, it's time to trade her.
She's got to go.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, they were great. They defeated every other team, so
Correct.
sure, run it back. I think, yeah.
Okay.
There's no glaring ways they can upgrade rather than instead of, now they'll start Leonie Phoebish instead of Sloot. Maybe they get rid of Sloot and find, another guard to replace her, but
Right. I think that's the biggest point where you probably see a change.
yeah.
But same question with Minnesota.
Minnesota,
Interesting.
I feel sad.
It's an interesting question.
I think you need to keep Kayla McBride. I think you need to keep Courtney. She's been incredible. She's such a unique player that you're not going to get from anyone else.
Correct.
And it just sucks that she had a bad game this game.
Yep.
I don't think that's always happening in game 5s.
Yep.
Whereas Sabrina seems to choke. Courtney, I don't think will always do this.
Okay.
Alana Smith, I think, has been incredible all year. A complete menace on defense and is a very important aspect of this team. Perhaps you're getting an upgrade for Bridget, which makes me sad.
Bridget's almost as reliable as anybody.
She was really not good in this game.
It sucks.
Yeah.
Canadian Carlton, they said.
And it's their bench. They need to.
They need like two more bodies.
Don't be trading for Maisha, and then not use her.
Ultimately, help them get to the finals.
I guess.
I still think it helped.
Minnesota needs a better bench.
Correct. And I think they're going to try. And I trust Cheryl Reeve more than any coach in the WNBA.
She was incredible in her post-game conferences.
I still didn't have a chance to see it, but I should check it out.
Yeah, you should.
Okay, so those are my major questions. Last thing I want to say about this whole final game. Kathy Engelbert, why are you wearing a New York dress?
Honestly, that is so cringe.
There's something sus about that to me.
It's sus.
I know the game is in New York.
Not okay.
But what if Minnesota wins game 5 and you, Kathy Engelbert, are standing there with the Empire State Building on your dress?
Right, makes no
weird.
sense.
It's weird.
It's really, really, really a bad look from her.
And look, the WNBA is full of looks.
Well, maybe she would have changed.
She would have put on the Minnesota building. I don't know what that is.
Uh-huh.
The WNBA is full of looks. We learned that from following this
It's all about fashion. You need to be thinking of what you're wearing.
Correct.
Kathy, figure it out.
Come on, Kath.
Don't do that again.
Never again. I just want to say to everybody, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for following us in our first season following the WNBA. It has been an incredible ride. Many are saying that this is the best season that has ever been. And I do think that this is our effect, the attack the baseline effect. Oh. But just seeing the way that you have enjoyed our show over the last 6 to 8 months. I can't even think of how long it's been. It's been 5 months, 6 months.
Since March. It's been
I think the first episode came out in May.
I don't know.
No, that's when the season started. Not true. I should know how long we've been here, but it's still been an amazing year.
Yeah, we'll do a little retrospective, I think.
Yeah, so just so everybody knows, just because the season's done, we're not done. We are still going to bring you regular content, whatever that looks like. We have stuff to talk about the expansion draft, which is right around the corner.
Unrivaled.
We have to talk about Unrivaled. There is some news over the last couple weeks that we haven't talked about, like some of the coaches' firings and what's that going to look like.
Every single coach being fired.
All of them, every single one. Mm-hmm. There will be news in the off season. We're going to check in on Paige. We're going to watch on Paige. If there is anything that you would like to see in this off season period, please send us an email. attackthebaseline@gmail.com, or connect with us on our Twitter at ATBpod_. Anything, like literally anything. If you want us to watch a documentary, if you want us to react to an old game, if you want us to give an opinion about the league fits or relationships in the league, we might have to make some calls, but like...
What?
We might have to make some calls.
To who?
To friend of the pod, Laura. But like, and Elizabeth, but we are happy to do whatever you would like to listen to. Mm-hmm. That like, we'll cater entirely to what our audience wants. And we're happy to do that. Mm-hmm. But just to letting you know that we're not going away. I know we went away for 15 days and we're back. But I just really wanted to thank you. Do you have any last words?
Yeah, I feel like I need to give Sabrina a compliment.
Okay.
I feel like I was just being mean. And I need to say that, well, did you see Nafisa's daughter? Uh-huh. How much Nafisa's daughter, like, loves Sabrina.
Oh, no, I did not see that.
It's very cute. Sabrina was talking about how during the Olympics, Nafisa's daughter was there, and Sabrina and Nafisa's daughter were hanging out all the time, and yeah, they were like, they love each other, so that's very sweet. And then maybe I'll get her shoes. I don't know. People say they're comfortable.
Sabrina. Oh, you said Sabrina and Nafisa's daughter. I was like, Sabrina as a kid? No.
No.
Literally Sabrina and Nafisa's daughter.
So yes.
Okay. Go on.
Oh, their daughter together?
No. I'm saying that like Sabrina's daughter and Nafisa's daughter.
Yeah.
I was like, Sabrina does not have a daughter.
No.
Anyway.
She just got married, I think, recently.
Never know. You want to go get some Sabs?
Maybe.
Sab 2, it's out now.
When I get past it.
It's time for Kristen to buy some basketball shoes. Mm-hmm. Get out on the court.
Yeah, let me know whose I should buy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, send us an email about that.
Uh-huh. That's my Christmas gift.
That's actually a good Christmas gift for me to get. Send it to me. Don't let Kristen know.
Okay.
And I will buy her some shoes.
I don't read the emails. John does, so.
I do. Anyway, that's going to do it for our coverage of the WNBA Finals. Congratulations, New York. You earned it.
It's up to you, New York. New York.
Bing bong. I don't know. What did they say? I don't get it. The Mets are terrible. The Jets are terrible. Go Liberty. Congratulations. We will talk to you next week with some expansion draft stuff and some news and some wrap up and some retrospective. But until then, Kristen, I'm looking at the baseline. What are we going to do?
Attack it.
Thank you for attacking the baseline with us all season long. We will be back so soon. But until then, goodbye.
Save on Uber One this fall with Verizon. For a limited time, get 3 free months of Uber One. Get $0 delivery on eligible food, groceries, and more, and 6% Uber One credit earned on eligible rides. Just another way to save on subscriptions you love at Verizon.com/Pandora. Subscriptions available at Verizon.com/PlusPlay. After 3-month promo, subscription auto-renews monthly at $9.99 plus taxes, unless you cancel. Visit Uber.com/Uber One for terms.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.
She said, get out the chat room and clean mine. Stretch, feeling fine, so fresh.
The Glad Girl Group coming at you with a throwback jam. That was Glad Force Flex Drawstring Trash Bags featuring Pine Sol Original Scent. And that's better than all good. It's all Glad.
This podcast is brought to you by Kleenex Lotion Tissues. You can't predict sick days, but with Kleenex Lotion Tissues, you can be better prepared for them while helping keep your skin healthy. Kleenex Lotion Tissues moisturize to help prevent skin irritation while you're battling those unwanted cold and flu symptoms. It's extra care when you need it most. Keep relief within reach. Grab Kleenex Lotion Tissues to help avoid the added discomfort of irritated skin during cold and flu season. For whatever happens next, grab Kleenex.
If your day sounds like,
we need the report ASAP,
you deserve Modelo. If you've persevered through, you deserve this rich golden lager with a crisp but refreshing taste. Or if you overcame,
2 more reps, 2 more.
You deserve this ice cold reward. Modelo, the mark of a fighter. Drink responsibly. Beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.